The format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, our secretary's announcements, a coffee and snack break, and our main speaker. Our first speaker for tonight is Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Lopez. I'm an alcoholic. I don't know how I don't know if I should say thank you or I kind of got railroaded into the 10-minute. Never been here before. It's nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming out, I guess. I'm on Zoom too. So I guess the important stuff. Sobriety date, September 15th, 2011. I've got a sponsor. He's got a sponsor, and then I sponsor a couple of guys myself. Let's see what it was like. I'm a lemon off the assembly line. I'm a textbook hater, manipulator. My favorite thing is to wait till you're asleep and then cut your pocket open and steal your sack. I like to rob and steal and all sorts of other good stuff, And when I got out of prison this last time, the only thing I really wanted to do was stay out and get a job and be left alone. And so I have this beautiful lady. She passed away. She's no longer with us, named Verna Sanchez, out in Covina where we stay. And I called her up, a couple months out of prison and asked her if I could move back into her sober living, and she said, "No fucking way, Lopez, Mexicans don't stay sober, and you know what the police did when you were out last time, and there's no way I'm letting you move back in here unless you give me your parole officer's number." And that wasn't going to happen, so thank goodness she came back and gave me my friend Jim Turner's phone number. He runs a sober living house in Covina as well, and I moved in there and started my little journey. I just got back from a nice long, just under a decade worth of dry drunk. I got sober, worked my steps, got married, got a job, and then radio silent for about 9 years. And then I found out I had cancer, and I'd always promised myself I would have one last good drunk in me before I died if I ever got a terminal disease. And something weird happened where between the last time I worked my steps and, a decade later when I found out I had cancer, funny thing, the obsession to drink and use had been lifted. And so I decided to lean back in on Alcoholics Anonymous and start going to some meetings. And we have an Alano club in our neighborhood, and several people know me and my wife. And I started going back to meetings. I started wearing a bucket hat and sunglasses and a full-blown disguise, and then I started getting recognized here and there. And one day my buddy Rick was like, "Jeff, is that you?" And we have a happy hour meeting at 5, and he's like, "Jeff, is that you? What the fuck are you doing in a disguise?" And really, the truth is, I don't know what I was doing other than I was just being scared, because I'd like to say that 90% of my whole life has been using and drinking behind fear, fear of what you think of me, fear of losing what I got or not getting what I not getting what I want, or all sorts of things. Fear in my life is it's that guard that keeps you from crossing that bridge to the sunlight of the Spirit, And I've been scared my whole life, and I didn't even know it. And So how it's going is, I've been cancer free here now 2 years and a little over 6 months. Definitely not of my own volition. When I found out I was sick, I asked the doctor to take my kidney, and he said, "Oh, we don't do that. We like to leave healthy tissue, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I went in for the cancer surgery and, you know, woke up 8 hours later without a kidney. So, you know, I don't know if he could have just taken my advice, but I guess he's the doctor. So that's going good, you know. Since I've been back, I've had the displeasure of having actually three people now come up and ask me to sponsor them, and I'm not necessarily. It's kind of like the blind leading the blind, you know what I'm saying? And I do my best, and we sit down and we read that book together, and we go through it slow and steady. And when I say slow and steady, you know, I like to read the book. I'm in the seeking part of my life where I would like to know more and more about myself and my disease and what makes me tick. And so with my guys, you know, I like to sit down and read that book slow and steady and break down, you know, each sentence if I have to, just to be clear as to what it is I'm reading and I'm learning. And I got another guy that's you know, putting his life kind of in my hands, you know, to guide and direct him. And that's a big responsibility to me today, because the old Jeff, well, you know, I don't have kids and I don't have, I like to just concentrate on me, you know, and I guess folks would think that's selfish, you know, but I do my best to get out of my own way these days and be as helpful as I can to any situation that I'm presented with, you know, and I think I really truly believe that that's given me a sense of even ease and comfort that I haven't known in a lot of years, you know. I like to leave the bathroom a little cleaner than it was when I got there, you know, and if there's two dishes in the sink when I get home from work, you know, instead of pissing and moaning to my wife about how come she could clean the whole fucking house and not clean this two dishes in the sink, you know, I just as soon wash those two dishes and save myself the headache and the argument. But it took several years of that. Several years of complaining about those two dishes to figure out that all I had to do was wash them to not be burned out. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how AA is. You know, it's real funny. You know, it's like the balance of opposites. You know, you want the shiny stuff, but you don't want to put in the work. You know, I want the job. I want you to hire me, but I don't want to show up on time, or I don't want to do my best for that 8 hours while I'm there, you know, or I want the good meal, but I don't want to do the work to get the money to pay for that good meal, you know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of years trying to figure that stuff out, you know, and I'm super grateful that my sponsor, Bob, has been so patient with me to tell me things like, you know, you're fucking up. And so, oh, fantastic. I've got 2 minutes here, so I'm just going to wrap it up. The most important thing I could tell you guys this evening is that you should try and find something to live for, you know what I'm saying, and give yourself a break, a little grace, you know. It's been a rough, long road for you to get to this place, and most important thing is to just sit down and enjoy it while you're here, you know, and don't squander the opportunities that you're given, you know. A lot of times God will be looking you right in the eyes, and you'll be looking at the trees instead of the forest. So that's all I got. Thanks for listening. Excuse me,
Melissa, alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Now our main speaker will share her experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Tish from Covina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tish, and I am an alcoholic. I want to thank Kelly for asking me to come out here tonight. We've been friends for the last maybe 5 or 6 years now, since she's moved into the sobriety capital of the world, where I'm from. But she's never heard me talk before, so our friendship could come to a grinding halt after today. I just did it because she asked me, and I love her. And I love Alcoholics Anonymous, and I know in my heart that if I have something to do, then it's okay to say no. If I have a commitment and I can't actually make an engagement in AA. But I didn't have anything planned 3 months ago when she asked me to do this, so she's really good. But I'm keeping my commitment because that's what we do. AA taught me how to do that. I didn't know I was flaky till I got sober. I think it's an incredible place to have a meeting here at Kelly calls it the Martyrs meeting, and I thought, that actually checks out because I know I fit into that definition fairly well, but I think my sister is alumni from this school. My older sister, let me clarify, she's a little bossy. I want to thank my husband for coming out with me and my friend Lynette and Jeff and Melissa, and Jeff did such a great night tonight. I was not feeling totally comfortable in my own skin to get up here, but after hearing him share, I feel like I'm right where I belong. I would like to do what Jeff did and let you all know that I came in on May 27th of 1997. I came into Alcoholics Anonymous via the doors of the Puente House in Covina. I could not get sober on my own. I didn't think about getting sober on my own. I had no desire to control my drinking in any way, shape, or form. I didn't even know I had an alcohol problem. I picked up another little problem. It comes in a little Ziploc baggie, and you pour it in a pipe, and it's just really messes up your teeth. Don't do it. I did that for a couple of years before I got sober. And when I came into AA, in my heart, I just wanted to stay for 5 days to get all that outside issue stuff out of my system so I could continue to drink on a daily basis. Because before I started to pick up that other little habit, I could drink literally every day, starting at about 10 a.m., and not every day of my life, but every day the last couple years before I got sober. Not have a hangover, not get a headache, not throw up in front of my friends. I knew to just have malt liquor and Long Island iced teas and a couple kamikazes. I knew how to balance what I was putting in my body so that I could stay composed. Because, I told myself that if I'm not having fun, then I shouldn't do it. And that's basically how I got here, because I wasn't having fun anymore. I wanted to just let you know that I have 4 beautiful sisters that I love today. I didn't 2 years ago. I mean, there's 4 of us girls. I have 3 sisters, I should say. Our mom passed away this past February, and prior to her passing, my sisters were sort of hard on my mom, and I love my mom very much. And I didn't have a reservation to drink, sort of, when she passed away, but maybe I sort of did, because I hated my sisters for how they treated my mom. But while she was sick, before she passed, we all really chipped in together to take care of our mom, and I saw each one of my sisters hurt. And they do love our mom. They just did it different than I did, and that's okay. And as a result of my mom's illness and her passing, I feel very close to my sisters, and I love them so much, and I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink, and that's why I'm here today. But my parents raised us in East Los Angeles for about 12 years, and it's me and my 3 sisters, and my mom had my sister Lydia when she was 16, me when she was 17, and she had us pretty young, I'll just put it that way. So a lot of the times people thought my mom was our sister, and she was very well liked in our little East LA neighborhood by the gang members there, which was a good thing because I think it prevented us from being hurt or getting in trouble or, getting robbed, whatever. But I liked how they liked my mom, and they were so nice to us that I wanted to be a chola. And my dad was not about to let that happen, so he moved us to Glendora, California, which is predominantly Caucasian, and we were the 2 Mexican families in our neighborhood. And I'm happy to say that I am Mexican and sober, because that is a shocker. I have about 600 family members, both sides of my family combined, and these are first and second cousins, and I think there's 4 of us that are sober. And it doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means that they didn't drink and get high like I did, I guess. I don't know. Mexicans have a lot of pride, maybe, possibly. I don't know. But so my dad moved us to Glendora. And I need to go back for a second. There's 4 of us girls, and my dad owned a construction company. He's very athletic, and he's like the man's man, you know. And I knew that when I was born, I was supposed to be a boy. My dad wanted a son. I'm the second born. And I picked up real early on, honestly, like toddler, maybe even younger, that I wasn't what my father wanted me to be. And I don't think I'm exaggerating, because it's really my truth. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel like I was the person that my dad wanted me to be. And I could hear my parents battling back and forth, and my mom would say, "You're going to hurt her feelings, you need to stop saying that." So what I decided to do was be a boy. And my pronouns are question mark, she, her. I did everything my dad did. I went to his job sites, I played sports, I learned how to climb roofs, I learned how to be tough with the other kids, stand up for myself, just be basically a jerk. A well-rounded jerk. But my dad has a little bit of a drinking problem at this time as well. So he knew that if I was up before he left the house, then I was going to want to go with him. So he would leave earlier and earlier. So I would wake up at like 3:30 in the morning, and I'd watch gospel music and David and Goliath and all these, not the gospel music, but some of those clay shows were really depressing. But I had to do it because I wanted to be pushy and make my dad take me with him. And I wanted to be with my dad because I wanted to make him happy, and I wanted to be with my dad, honestly, because sometimes he would buy me shoes. And I love shoes. So when he started sneaking out and saying no, it hurt me. It hurt me. And as a teenager, what I would do was be mean to my sisters if I felt pain. Because once again, I take it to not being good enough, not feeling loved, not being the person that my dad wanted me to be. So the only other way for me to get around that was to ask if I could drink. Because in our family, every single event, funeral, baby shower, wedding, graduation party, any celebration, or maybe not a celebration, or a lot of people have parties at funerals or after funerals, receptions. People are getting absolutely intoxicated. So I was one of the kids who volunteered to be a bartender, and it'd be like, "It's 2 for you and 1 for me," and I'd hide it in a bush. And then I'd find my other cousins who would hide alcohol with me, and it was an easy way for us to drink. And so when we moved to Glendora, I felt lonely and just restless in my own skin. I didn't feel like I fit in because I'm in a different environment than I grew up in, and I would literally ask my parents if they could just buy me a 6-pack. Just 1 6-pack. I'll go to my room, I'll behave, I won't bug anybody, I'll get out of your hair. And eventually they said yes. And my parents let me drink at a young age, and before you know it, my dad was taking off and going to a lot of business meetings, and me and my sisters were having a lot of high school parties, and my mom was very young, and a lot of the guys that came to our house liked my mom a lot. She liked to reveal cleavage. And she made really good burritos. So it was a win-win. If you came to our house, and drink. So you're going to get drunk, eat burritos, and stare at my mom. And also dance, because we did a lot of dancing. And so that's kind of when things were fun. And then my sister has this boyfriend who's kind of a jerk, and he brings his friend to our house to have fun. And that guy's kind of a jerk, and we got married. And I married this man because he said that he didn't like women, but he likes me. And I was like, oh, I'm so lucky. And I really did believe that. I felt special, like, man, that's cool. Red flag for sure. But he did let me pick out his outfits when we went out places, and that was nice because I'm a pain in the butt. So by the time I was 21, we had 4 kids, and that husband and myself did a lot of drinking. I liked that he let me pick out his clothes and that I was his favorite gal, but he also had a nice body, and he had really good weed. So there's a lot of reasons that I liked him. So this guy and I drink every weekend, and now there's Monday Night Football, so now we're drinking Monday and then Monday Night Football. And then I think there was sports on Thursdays, and so there was like 2 days that we didn't drink, and it was becoming a little bit much, so we started to do cocaine, because that helps. And we would take turns watching the kids and try to be the best parents we could. We were very, very young, and when I was 25 and he was 27, he went to Vegas on just a spontaneous trip with my dad, my uncle, my brother-in-law. He was very drunk. They flew from Ontario Airport to Vegas. It was like a 36-minute flight, and on that flight, he managed to have 3 little miniature short dogs, and he was intoxicated when he got off the plane, and my uncle was pushing him on a luggage cart, and they got to the escalator, and my ex-husband, tried to sit on the rail and surf down the escalator, and he fell back and hit his head, and has today severe permanent brain damage as a result of losing oxygen to his brain. And when my sister came to get me to tell me what had happened, I was actually relieved, because he was pretty mean. We had a lot of fights, and he was very verbally and emotionally and sexually abusive on a daily basis. And when you have kids and you're with somebody who is not well, it's kind of hard to defend yourself. It's hard to run away with children. And we have a son who's a beautiful man. He's 38 now, and he's a nurse. But he's gay, and that's fine. But we knew he was gay from the time he was little, like before he was 2. And his dad used to say mean things to him. If he's this, I'm going to do this, and he's going to regret it. So when he fell, I was happy for my son, actually. But I stayed, for better or worse, sickness and health till death do you part. So we relocated to Henderson, Nevada for about 6 months while he was in a coma. We got him home to California, here in Downey, Rancho Los Amigos, and he never was able to walk or talk again. After his rehabilitation there, I took him home, and I managed to get through all these things, watch the kids, drive to Downey, interact with my family, get the kids to school. It was all so easy because I was drinking. I could drink every single night for the first time, and nobody was telling me that I was drinking too much, because my husband and I did drink a lot together, but he would monitor. After like 18 beers, he's like, that's enough. But he did keep an eye on how much I was drinking, and it really bothered me because he nursed his drinks, and it was so boring. But so after his accident, that's another reason why I was like, because now I could drink as much as I want to. And my kids would even ask me why I drink the way I drink, and I said, it just helps me relax. People drink coffee to wake up, and Mommy drinks alcohol to relax. And that was the end of that. And I took care of him for a couple years, and because of his brain damage, he couldn't be around the kids because he had a very short fuse, and I sent him to go live with his parents, who were actually fighting me for custody at the time. And I began a new journey in my life. It was my first time being single. I was still married, but I was single. I weighed about 300 pounds when he had his accident, and by the time I was 27, I had lost over 100 pounds, and I was walking and drinking more water, and I was a cocktail waitress, and I went to lots of clubs because my family would say, you need to start enjoying your life, Tish. And I was like, okay, bye. So people I did that okay, bye probably every day. I'd stay at work cocktail waitressing till like 3 or 4 in the morning, because I could drink it after work. I was just a big mess and I didn't even know it, because in the way I saw things was everybody else gets to drink sloppy and do whatever they want. Why can't I? Everyone did their things when they were younger and didn't have 4 kids, and they weren't single parents. So I could see why they were mad at me a little bit. But eventually, like, the pressure from my family to quit drinking the way I was drinking and quit going to the bars that I was going to and quit entertaining people in my home at 2 or 3 in the morning, the pressure from my family was becoming overwhelming. And my dad would pound on my windows at 3 or 4 in the morning and say, "Are you there? Are you there?" And I would hide, and we would all just lay against the wall till he left. And then one day he said, "Do you want me to do what you're doing?" And I said, "Oh, no, that would be so dumb." And then I realized what I just said. Okay, well, if it's dumb for my dad, it's dumb for me. And needless to say, I got ready to go out one more night, and I was leaving my house to go to this bar called the Boar's Head in Covina. And I wanted to make sure that my pants were falling perfectly on my boots. And I just had this whole ensemble ready to get out. It was 1 in the morning, by the way. I was barely ready to leave my house. And my mom woke up. She was staying with me at the time. And she said, "You know what? You're just like your father." Because my dad always just cared about how things looked on the outside and how he looked. And it was all about looking good. And when she said that, I was very offended. But it registered. Because all that time I thought my dad was awful. He left us. He didn't love us. He was nowhere to be found. He was just thinking about himself. So when my mom said that to me, it really took the fun away from my drinking. And unfortunately, shortly after that, like weeks or so, I got arrested. It wasn't my fault. The classic thing to say, but it was. I was at a storage at 3 in the morning, and I literally just went to go buy milk. I had the milk in my car. And I went to go help a friend with unload her storage and move it to another storage. And some people were making drugs there, and they brought us some. And neither one of us wanted to pick it up, so it was just on that piece of furniture. And ironically, the police came, and so I had to go to jail. And I have ADHD, so when I do drugs, I'm ready for a nap. They couldn't even find my pulse or a heartbeat. I was so surrendered. I think I wanted to quit, but I didn't know how. And they asked me if I had anything on my possession, and I said no when I was lying. So then I got scared because they were going to catch me lying. So I was trying to take whatever was in my shirt pocket out with my chin. And I think that was the giveaway that I was on drugs. But all I cared about was getting my car and getting my alcohol. I had alcohol and beer or milk in the car, and so they finally let me out of jail. And I was only there for a day. Then I got arrested again because I love shopping at Nordstrom's and returning things for money, even though I didn't buy them. So I would grab something from one part of Nordstrom's that had a tag on it and take it to another department. And I got caught. And that day in particular, I had 2 different IDs, and I blew it. And they asked me why I was doing what I was doing, because I kind of tried to carry myself well, if anything. And I said I was just trying to get a job at Nordstrom's. I want to be undercover like you guys. And they laughed just like that, and then they drove me off to jail in a paddy wagon of all things, and that was so demoralizing. And then my friends who were out there, supposed dealers and drinking like maniacs, don't even have homes. They're living in trailers. They're using my electricity, my showers, stealing my detergent. They don't even have toilet paper when they come over to go to the... They're just wrong in so many levels. They're giving me a hard time about the choices that I was making. And a lot of my friends started to give me a hard time about my drinking and my using, and I just thought people are fake. They don't really love you. They're all judgmental. And little did I realize that if I was in their shoes, me watching one of my girlfriends with 4 children drink and use and have an RV parked in her front yard and a motorcycle in her living room, and her pondering at Stater Brothers, should I get a 40 or Top Ramen? Like, that's where my drinking took me. And I definitely wasn't having fun at that point. And once you get arrested, you do become a little paranoid. So I know that if you were paranoid at my house before I became paranoid, you had to leave. If you were going to come to my house and drink and act like a jerk, you couldn't stay, or you couldn't drink that alcohol. I had so many rules because I had my kids in the house. So I felt like I was being a good mom. So if you're going to party here, you need to abide by these rules. And I didn't care what gang you were in, motorcycle gang, or if your head was shaved. I mean, it just didn't matter. I was a whipcracker. And for some reason, people liked that and they felt safe in my home. And I'm so lucky because instead of people being repulsed at me, they knew that there was something about me that was fairly decent. And, you know, the day that I got sober, if I would have waited the following day, I don't even think I'd be standing here today because I was cutting it real close because people in that world don't like to see women in particularly drinking and using and abandoning their families. And all those people knew that I drank, but I would take my using and keep it to myself. And one day somebody caught me and she said she was going to tell. And I was like, oh, I hate you. She was going to tell the people that I don't want, that would lead me to live my life with one eye open for the rest of my life. So I ended up getting sober, not because she scared me, but because she was also injecting speed into her arms. And that looked so good. And she wasn't acting crazy. She wasn't trying to steal everything in my house. She was really calm. And I was like, you're so different, Lisa. She's like, yeah, bitch, I'm sticking the shit in my arms. And I was like, oh, yeah. I can't do that, but I want to so bad. I want to because I'm so tired of being in trouble by everybody. And a friend of mine that I didn't think was a friend anymore because they stopped coming to my house, him and his wife came to my house and they said, come on, Tish, you're getting sober. And my friend George had went to the Men's Plenty House. They lived right behind the Men's Plenty House, and he got a sponsor there from the Men's Plenty House. And they took me to my first meeting, and then a couple days later, they came and got me, and they said, come on, you need to get sober. And I said, nope, I don't have a suitcase. Diane said, George, go get Tish a suitcase. So George drove home to get me a suitcase. And I knew I had stuff around my house that I needed to drink and finish, and my kids were home from school that day because that was the day that I was planning on going to sober living, so I wanted to let them stay home with me so that we could spend that last day together. Another lie, I just was wasted and I couldn't take my kids to school. So the night prior to me going to the Plenty House, I was getting tucked away in my room to hopefully die because I knew I had to drink and I had to quit drinking and I didn't want to. So I thought death would be so much easier than quitting drinking. So my kids were asleep in their rooms and my mom was in my bedroom and I was in the spare room and I'm getting tucked away with all my goodies and crazy stuff in my room, and I had to have my blinds just right so I could blow smoke out, but people couldn't see that there was a light on, so nobody would want to come over. It was so much work to just get wasted, and I said, I can't do it. And I went to go unlock the door to the bedroom that I was getting myself together in, and I was too scared to open the door to my own house in a bedroom.